Yeah, it's telling you that you're not safe. It's telling you that your values are being violated. It's telling you that you can't keep living like this. It's telling you that something has to change. And we don't want to look at it like that because we keep thinking that it's something else. Like, what else is this? Why am I so angry? Like, you know deep down why you're angry. You understand that you are not being treated the way that you know you deserve to be treated.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Let's talk about anger today. And please don't turn this off yet. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about anger. It makes them feel a certain way. It's kind of tricky. You don't want to admit that you feel it. You don't know what to do once you have it. You misunderstand it. You look at what it could be other than anger, and it gets muddy. It gets really muddy for a lot of people. But anger is a really, really important emotion. We often attribute it as bad, and it is not bad. It is a mobilizing emotion. It is a revolutionary emotion. It is trying to teach us something. It is trying to encourage us to make a change. And I think that's where we lose a lot of people. When we say change, we're not saying leave your partner. Maybe sometimes that's what it ultimately means for you, but that's not what it always means. Sometimes it can mean set boundaries. Sometimes it can mean set limits. It can mean detach yourself from certain situations, spend less time with certain people. It can mean a number of things, y'all. But it's important that you understand what anger is really trying to teach you. Both of us had to process anger in different ways. I was more of a reactive, aggressive type, and we will talk about aggression is not the same as anger. Paige was the opposite.
Was I?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I utilized anger to make healthy choices. I wasn't as aggressive as he was. Sure, I had my moments.
And boys and girls are conditioned at a young age to handle anger differently. It's conditioned in us on what anger means from the time that we're children. It's taught, in religious studies. It's taught in philosophy. There's a lot of great things about anger, but it seems like we have misinterpreted pretty much every single one of them. We're going to give you a healthy perspective of what we believe anger is, how we've used it in our lives to make changes, and why it's not a 4-letter word, why it's not icky. And I really hope you stick around for this. It's going to be a 3-part series. This first one covers what, Paige?
This is going to be for those that are with someone who is still in active addiction, or maybe they are a dry drunk. They're not doing a program or recovery of any sort, but they aren't using a substance. But they still have the behaviors that they had beforehand. So basically, if you're just with somebody who's an ass and is treating you poorly, this is going to be for you.
Yeah.
And then the second episode is going to be for those that are with someone that is in recovery, because a lot of the times your anger will surface there and you're going to have no idea why it's there. So we're going to touch on that. And then the third episode will be for those that are out of the relationship and they have some anger that they need to get through.
And please don't segment yourselves and skip one because you don't think it applies to you, because every single one of these is going to build upon each other.
Yep.
We will talk about different pieces of anger in each episode. So here you're going to get some of the origins of anger, what it's really trying to teach us. We will build on that in episodes 2 and 3. So if you skip this one, you're going to hear episode 2 and be a little lost.
Right. I typically don't like to separate based on your relationship status, but I felt like this was going to be an easier way to break it down for those that want to hear about anger. So, but like you said, listen to them all because there's always something in there that's going to benefit you.
Yeah. And if you heard active addiction, you don't think that applies, think active dick.
Yeah.
Just an active dick in your life.
Behaviors over substances is what we preach here.
All right. This is going to be a fun one.
Yep.
This is actually our second go at this. Our camera broke. I think it finally bit the dust. So
we were having a really, really good conversation. And about 25 minutes in, we got an alert. Oh, your camera's not working. And it's like, oh.
This has been repeat with this wonderful piece of machinery that has served us well for years. But I think we're asking too much of it. And so it is time for a new camera. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you might notice it looks a little different. I don't think it's going to be that much different.
I don't think so either. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit wider, whatever. But I
think maybe the background isn't as blurred out. We don't pop as much. Coloring could be a little strange, but this is the best we could do in a pinch.
But honestly, we were a little bit angry when it stopped doing that. But did we react to that anger? No. We didn't.
Might have called it a bad word or two.
But that's it. But we didn't make each other uncomfortable by being aggressive. So we'll talk about that later.
All right, let's get this thing going.
Yep.
Hey, first, we've got a couple of announcements in the Tufo universe. We've got new merch.
Woo woo!
Show them. I've got a t-shirt. We've got 3 different t-shirts. We've got 2 different hoodies, and we've got water bottles as well.
Oh, I've got mine.
Bust out the water bottle.
This is the bone one. It's in bone, and it has.
To focus. There it goes. It's got a poem on the front. So this is what we're calling, there's a fire inside capsule. I wrote a poem I don't know, it's been a couple of years, maybe a year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's on
exactly.
our website on our blog section.
But a line from it, there's a fire inside you. It burns from within. The source of your light is never from them. I wrote this as a reminder to really, I was thinking about our daughter when I wrote it. And I was thinking about Paige, and I was thinking about what I would have loved to tell them now if I could go back in time. Especially if our daughter ever ends up in a situation like we find a lot of people in. Like, what are the words I would want her to have from her dad if something happened to me? And those are the words I would want her to know just as much as I would want you to know, is that oftentimes we look at other people to complete us. And it's not to say that other people can't make our lives much more joyous and amazing.
Connections. We're humans.
It's a beautiful thing when you find someone that fits with you. But I think there are a lot of us that chase a missing piece of us in somebody else to damaging places. And it can be really detrimental. And I think some of you probably have done that. And I think it's a really important reminder at times to remember that no one is coming to save you. And the only person that can get you out of this hell is you. And this goes for people like me who were stuck in addiction. This is for people like Paige who were stuck with someone in addiction. Someone who's been in a tough work environment. It doesn't matter. I think what's important is that you remember that the fire that you need to take action is inside of you. And there's something beautiful inside of you that burns every single day. And it's easy to forget that. And I want it to be a reminder to everybody. The hoodies and I think one of the t-shirts it's got its new sun logo that we've got on the back. It says there's a fire inside, which is part of our rebranding from Independently Strong. It is going to become Reclaiming You, which we think is a much better word for our term for, I guess, what the course actually encompasses. Independently Strong was figured out in an afternoon as we were looking at we were under our deadline. It was like, hey, that'll work. I think that kind of encompasses it, but it doesn't really, because it kind of alludes to the fact that you're going to shoulder all this on your own. And that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not what we ever wanted to get across, but I think it's kind of done that. What it's really about is reclaiming you. The number one thing we generally hear from spouses and partners is that I don't know who I am anymore. I've lost my sense of identity. I used to know what I stood for, and now I don't. That's what the course really aims to capture, is how do you reclaim yourself? How do you start to live by your values? What do you stand for? Let's start from scratch. Let's figure it out. That's what the program really does. And so we're using that branding and all this new merch. It's really cool. If you guys want some of it, you can go to our website right now, twfo.com. Get it while it lasts. Got hoodies, sweatshirts, or no, there's still some sweatshirts. New hoodies, new t-shirts, new water bottles that come in black and white. We've still got recovery rocks up there it's a really cool way to acknowledge someone else's journey with you through addiction. It says, thank you for being my rock on the back. It's got our logo on the front. They don't just come in black, by the way. They come in different rock colors. I should probably get different ones up here. People probably just think they're black.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they're rocks.
They're rock colors.
So
whatever colors rocks usually come in.
They're not all the same color.
But you can find out about that and a lot of our free resources, like our free Facebook community, our free community calls led by other members, our free Discord channel. We've got all kinds of awesome free resources out there that are there for you, not just the paid resources and Reclaiming You or Independently Strong, but totally free stuff as well. Like, we want to help the podcast as well. Like, that's what we're here for. But if you want to support the show, you can do that. If you don't want any merch, you think these are ugly and you just want to buy us a cup of coffee, you can do that too. You can click the link in our profile and buy us a cup of coffee, and we'd appreciate it. It'll go toward a new camera. I can promise you. What else?
I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I don't know about you.
We had something else that was new. What else? What am I missing?
No, that's it.
Is that it?
That's it. But I did want to say that the water bottles are straw and tilt. So you can do either one.
And they are 32 ounces, by the way.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's it.
Are we allowed to say that they're like
No,
Owala bottles?
You're not.
They're like Owala bottles.
They're similar.
Not Owala bottles. They're not knockoff Owala bottles. But they're very similar to that. Of the designs I've seen, that's the one that compares closest to. They're awesome.
And I've been using mine for a while, and it's holding
leaks,
up
right?
very well. No. Mm-mm.
It's greatness. All right. SoberLink is the sponsor of today's show, and they have been for the last year or two on the show. We believe in what they do, and here's why. If you're someone like me and you're trying to prove sobriety, chances are your words have lost meaning because you've said it all. You've promised, you have sworn, you have, put up limits in your life to make sure that you can't get access to the stuff. And what usually happens is that you find yourself back to square one. That's just the nature of addiction. It's a bitch. It sucks. It's tough. I always ask people, okay, so what's going to be different this time? If you're as serious as you say you are, get a SoberLink. It does a couple of things. One, it's going to keep you from drinking. It's going to deter you from drinking because it sets up a network of people to get notified every time you use the device. So if you're going around saying, I'm really doing the deal, I'm about it, and then you have a craving and you know you have to use this thing in an hour, what do you think you're going to do? You're probably going to avoid it. You can white knuckle through those moments because you know that you've got people there who are going to see this. You can no longer hide in the dark. And the other side of that is it's going to give people a reason to support you. It's really tough to get sober in a vacuum. It's easier when you have support. So bring people in the circle that can support you. And they will let you know, dude, I'm proud of you. What is that, 3 months now? Like, let's go. This is awesome. It feels good. It feels good when you get rewarded for it, when you get some positive feedback for it, because it is really tough to do on your own. What else it does? This is the reason it's on our show, because this is a visibility tool. This is a transparency tool. It's a gift you give your loved ones. Paige was sick of asking me questions. She was sick of accusing me and being lied to. She didn't want to look for bottles anymore. She didn't want to go through any of that. None of it. So if you're sick of that whole rigmarole, give your loved ones the gift of visibility. Okay. No more arguments. No more fights about this. Remember, you signed up for this. This is a gift you give them. This takes a huge weight off their shoulders. They don't want to be the police for you. They don't want to patrol you. They don't want to baby you. They don't want to, they don't want to be responsible for your sobriety. They don't want to do any of that stuff. So take it out of their hands. Let SoberLink be the bad guy. They love to be the bad guy. They don't mind. And they're not the bad guy. They're just interested in providing data. That's all they want to do. They just want to provide the best data possible. It is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. If you're on the other side of a relationship and you're just trying to keep your kids safe, you can get these things written into your custody agreements, and you can always trust the person that's using the device is the person that's supposed to be using the device because it has military grade facial recognition. Facial recognition technology. Holy hell. It is tamper proof. They get alerts if you've tried to open this thing up and screw with it in any way. It is awesome. For the longest time, it was really expensive to get into one of these devices because there was an upfront cost for the actual device, and then there was a monthly plan cost, kind of like a cell phone deal. Now they've changed it. You can now rent these things. When you sign up for a 1-year plan, you can rent one for as little as $19 a month. Get started today for $19 a month. Now, you still have that monthly plan cost, but since you're an awesome listener of this show, SoberLink's going to help you with that. They're going to send you a $100 gift card that you can use toward the purchase of anything. It's Christmas time. If you want to use it on Christmas presents, do that. Bills, do that. Tufo merch, do that. If you want to use it toward that monthly plan cost, whatever. They're going to help you decrease the cost of that plan, especially over the course of that first year. Just go to soberlink.com/wheels to find out more. If this is something like you think you might be interested in, make sure you use our link, soberlink.com/wheels. And now I'm done stuttering. Let's get on to the episode.
So this topic I've wanted to discuss for a while. I feel like we've talked about it before on episodes, like little bits. I've had some Paige's perspectives. We've kind of like trickled in some tips and how anger is an aggression and all this stuff. But like, I really wanted to dig deep into this because I see a lot of people who are struggling with anger. And I just think that this is a really good opportunity to break it down for others to really understand what it is that they're going through. So a lot of times we feel like anger is bad. It's negative. It's not supposed to be there. Like it doesn't feel good to be angry. Like we don't like, sometimes it does. Like sometimes it's like, ooh, yeah, I just want to like, let me feel this way. But a lot of the times
you ever seen those rooms you can go to where you can just smash
the rage rooms or whatever. Rage rooms. Yeah, no, I think that's great. That's a healthy way to release it, but it's still going to come back if you're not dealing with like the actual issue of why you have anger in the first place.
Feels good in the moment.
But it does feel good in the moment. We have discussed how it's important to release the anger in healthy ways, like working out, journaling and things like that. But we've also, I think that we've been clear that that's not going to fix it long term, right? Mm-hmm. So there are actions that we need to take because anger is a signal. It's a sign. It's telling you something. We have been wired to have anger for a reason, but we have been told from communities, from our parents, from society, from our cultures, like you're not supposed to be angry. You need to be calm. Anger is bad. That is a problem within you. You need to do something about that. And I challenge that because I think it's just completely misunderstood. But a lot of people misunderstand us whenever we are discussing anger and they're like, oh, it's not good for you when you have uncontrollable anger and da-da-da. It's like, I know, I understand that. I'm not talking about aggression. Being aggressive is totally different than being angry. You can be calm. You can release it in a healthy way without being aggressive. Anger and aggression are two totally different things. Aggression is the behavior. Anger is the internal signal. It's internal. It's not going to hurt someone when you are angry, but being aggressive can.
Right. And I think we screw it up because we pick up on the pattern that aggression generally follows anger.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we
It's a
pick up on
reaction.
that. Right. So like you kind of get conditioned to that. Like if you grew up in a household where there was a lot of conflict, it felt scary and unsafe, and anger was generally a precursor to aggression.
Yes.
But we've equated them as one and the same when they're really not.
Right. So I just think that us as a society, we haven't been taught how to manage anger, or we haven't been taught how to utilize anger in the proper way. Use it as fuel, use it as a sign, use it as a signal, instead of like just lashing out and releasing it, because it gets a bad rep, because that's why we release it in unhealthy ways. So we're here to like help you through that and help you understand like what the anger is really trying to tell you and what you can do to help, it's not get rid of it, because we're never going to get rid of like our emotions. Emotions are there for a reason. It's really just to like use it as a signal. What is it trying to tell you? So if you're angry and you're in a relationship, I'm going to validate that anger right now. And I'm going to let you know that it's totally acceptable to be angry. A lot of people think that we encourage anger or we encourage being aggressive, and that's not what we do here. I have never encouraged being aggressive, because that's not useful.
No pettiness.
It's not helpful. It might make you feel good temporarily, but the reality is that it's not productive. Like, we are here to help you become productive in your emotions, to feel your feels and do something about it. So it's kind of funny. Before we got on here, I was reading, somebody had posted something like randomly. I don't know who, I don't even follow this account, but it said about listening to your anger and da-da-da. And at the end it said, so crash out, sister, and be okay. And I was like, okay, hold on. You're encouraging people to be aggressive instead of encouraging them to look at this anger and figure out what it is within them that is harming them. Like, what is harming them? What is causing this anger? Why is it coming up? You're telling them to just like crash out and be aggressive. Like, that's not helpful. Why are we teaching people to do that? I was raised that 2 wrongs don't make a right. And I know that always kind of like irritated you in a way. Like when I would say 2 wrongs, right? Am I right?
For another day.
Okay. I don't believe in, revenge.
Retribution.
I don't believe in that, and goes against my values, because I know that it's not going to help me. For me, anger is telling me that I need to do something, that something within my life is not right, that my environment is off, like my values are being, they're being violated. My boundaries are being violated. It means that I need to do something, not get back at other people. If I'm in a position within this relationship where I'm like trying to get revenge, or I'm trying to harm them, or I'm trying to be petty, you really need to look at the whole situation in general, because we never got to that point. I didn't disrespect you to that level, but I know a lot of people do. And I understand why you do that. And I know why you feel that way, and your anger like really gets the best of you, but we're going to help you unpack that.
Quick tangent real quick. And just in defense of that statement with that account, like crash out, whatever.
Okay.
What if you've been looking for, I don't know, like you need an ingredient for something that you're making, and you've been to 3 different stores and they don't have it. Mm-hmm. And you get pissed, crash out a little bit in the car and lose your shit.
I guess. As long as it's not harming somebody else. But also for me, I look at that stuff and I'm like, move on. Kind of like this whole camera situation. I was like, okay, I'm mad, but I'm not going to crash out, because what's that going to do? All that's going to do is keep me in my anger longer. And then I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. So what's the solution? Let's fix the problem.
At the end of the day, you're going to get to the same place.
You're going to get to the same place. But I don't feel like crashing out is completely necessary. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like, yes, I crash out sometimes.
There are times you're crashing out.
There are times where it
crash
happens.
Out and then you're good.
And then you're good.
Needed to crash out.
Right. And I guess I understand that. But like we talked about earlier, I guess maybe we brought this up where you said that you're more aggressive than I am. Like I use the anger as fuel to like really figure out what the hell it's trying to tell me. And you get angry and you're like, bah! It's just more aggressive. And that's how that's just how we process it differently. But I don't know.
I think the problem with any kind of statement on social media like that is that people are going to hear that and apply it to their life, depending on where they're at and what's going on with them. And what they do with it says a lot more about them than it does the creator. And it sucks, because as a creator, you cannot possibly make content that applies to everyone's situation. You would spend, it would be a 200-page reel on, or, carousel.
It's not authentic either.
No, but that's the problem. You ever heard of bean soup theory?
Oh yeah.
This is the problem with social media in general, is bean soup.
Yeah.
If you don't know what bean soup theory is, get off. This is a fun tangent.
Yes, this is fun.
There's this creator on TikTok like a couple of years ago that made this recipe for bean soup. She was talking about, I think she was.
It had like 7 different beans in it. It was
like
a soup.
A bunch of different beans. And it was like, it's good for iron. It was good for like when you're menstruating. And like, she was just like, this is her bean soup recipe.
It makes you pretty gassy too.
I'm sure. And
lots of fiber.
People started commenting, what if you don't like beans? What do you do if you don't have those beans? And this is the problem with social media. That is such an encompassing way of like this hyper individualistic, what about meism that kind of rules social media now, where people, if it pops up on their screen, they expect it to be perfectly suited for them and their unique situation right in that moment. And it drives creators like us nuts because it's like, what about the fucking beans? If you don't like beans, go
scroll on.
Keep focused. It's obviously not meant for you, you know, but like, that's the problem.
What can I substitute for beans? Like, what? This is a bean soup. Move on.
Yeah. Go find some chicken soup. I don't know.
Go find something else.
That's
like, why
the
are we
problem.
doing this?
We'll get questions like this all the time. Well, what about this? What about that?
Right.
Video wasn't about that. It was about this other thing. And I understand that you're curious, but like Google's a thing too.
Right.
Just saying. But anyway, I think that there's some valid crash outs out there. That's my crash out for the day.
Okay. Well, anyway, a lot of the times we feel like anger, when we're angry at somebody, we think that if we yell at them, or if we communicate differently, or we tell them how we feel or whatnot, that they're going to change their ways and they're going to hear us and they're going to be better, or they're going to step up or whatnot. And the reality is anger is not there to change other people. You can change people. You can't change people, but you can change people. You've heard that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means like you can change your surroundings, but you don't change the actual person.
Right.
So this is more of like, you can be angry at them all you want, but what are you going to do with that anger? It's more of like what you can do about it instead of trying to get them to change because you're angry. Now, in a healthy relationship, if I brought something up to you that, angered me, like that really upset me, I would come up to you in like a calm way, in a calm manner, and we would have a discussion about it. And you would possibly say, okay, I hear you. I'll try to do better, right? Vice versa. You came to me, like that made me angry. What can I do about it? Let's figure it out. But these are not balanced, healthy relationships. Why are you looking at me like that? Is that not how this goes?
Not do that. If I came to you and said you did something that made me angry.
Oh, we'd have a conversation about it for sure.
This way, it would go rather well. This way, not so much.
Like what? What do I do that makes you angry?
If I address anything that makes me upset that you've done, you lose your shit first. After some time, you'll be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Okay,
that's true. I do lose my shit at first. Or I'll avoid. I don't necessarily like lose my shit. Sometimes I'll just avoid it, or I'll go internal and I'll be like, oh shit.
Your relationship with anger is really interesting to me.
Okay.
Because on one hand, like it's very controlled and you're really, really good with it. I think you kind of had to learn this in the process of being with me. I think you really had to look at things from 30,000 feet and like and you just simplify it. Quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to you getting angry, when it comes to like our relationship and some of the more intricacies of having a relationship with somebody, like you've got a lot of like critical feedback wounds that go back years, long before you ever met me.
Yeah.
And if I bring up anything like, hey, you could have done XYZ better, it like instant anger.
That's not how you bring it up.
And a crash.
It's not how you bring it up.
And aggression. Whatever it is. But it's like, it's crazy. It's funny.
Okay.
It's interesting how you can be so wise with it on the more important things. And then on the more personal stuff, it's just like, I don't know, it all falls apart.
I'm dealing with that wound, by the way. That's something
I know you are.
That is something I've been working on.
I know.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Motherfucker.
All right. Sorry. Derailed again.
Okay. Anyway, so basically we're just trying to tell you that anger is a signal. It's something that you need to listen to. It's not, anger is the internal sign. Aggression would be how you react. That's the behavior. And what we can do is we can control our aggression. We don't necessarily control the anger. Like we can control how we react to the anger.
Yeah. Anger, I think a lot of people feel like is an emotion that you can't stay in and do anything positive with. When you're feeling angry, you want it to go away because you don't feel like it's productive. You don't feel like you can move forward in the direction you want to move forward while you're angry. And what this generally presents as in the work that we do is you'll have a couple. One of them is either just, they're severely addicted or they're just a dick. One of the two. And then you have someone who's trying to hold on for dear life and manage everything. And they're feeling a lot of anger and resentment because this person they're neglecting them and their children. They are neglecting household duties or their finances. They are burdening everyone around them. They are
they're being dishonest. They're manipulating.
lying.
There's unequal partnerships. There's all of this stuff.
Sometimes
that goes
there's
along.
infidelity. There's a bunch of different things. And it's going to cause anger because it's going to hurt a lot of layers underneath anger as well. And you're going to feel angry. And what
as you should,
you will
feel
not
angry.
let go of is this ain't working. This ain't working. What's happening right here? This is not working. And so instead of looking at that, which is the problem, this is where the anger is coming from. This is the source of the anger. You look at the anger as the problem. Ooh, it's my anger. I'm going to attack the anger. I need to get rid of the anger. If I can just get rid of the anger, everything will be fine. False. That's not the way this works. If you can get rid of the anger, you've successfully accomplished gaslighting yourselves. Congratulations. I don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't be proud of that. But that's basically what people want. They think that anger is something they need to move past.
They think it's the problem.
And listen, there is such a thing as resentment and anger long after a situation has passed, and you can do one of two things. You can forgive them or you can divorce them.
We'll discuss that in the next episode.
We will get there, but there is such a thing as that. Don't mean to neglect that, or we'll get there. But I think for a lot of folks, they look at anger and it's like, how do I get past this? Because you haven't really taken a hard look at the real problem here. Let's really talk about the problem. What is this anger trying to teach me?
Yeah.
What is this anger signaling? Think of anger. It's a fire alarm, right? This is your amygdala in your brain's telling you, danger, Will Robinson, something is wrong. Something is up. Pay attention. Look at that. No, don't look over there. Look here. Let's figure out what's going on. What needs to change? Remember, it mobilizes you, which means it's supposed to spring you into action. It is supposed to make you recognize things. It is a revolutionary emotion. And think about the power of that. Revolutionary, driving change, like big changes in your life.
It's fuel.
Anger is not trying to make you get rid of it. It's trying to make you get rid of the thing that is causing the danger signal.
Right.
That's what it's trying to do. That's where we run into trouble because it's so painful to look at the real systemic issues in the relationship to figure out what's driving that.
Yeah, it's telling you that you're not safe. It's telling you that your values are being violated. It's telling you that you can't keep living like this. It's telling you that something has to change. And we don't want to look at it like that because we keep thinking that it's something else. Like, what else is this? Why am I so angry? Like, you know deep down why you're angry. You understand that you are not being treated the way that you know you deserve to be treated. You're supposed to be angry. You're meant to be angry. Listen to that anger. Do not stuff it down. Do not shove it down because, as we've said before, emotions buried alive never die. Because my anger didn't start coming out until many years after he got sober into recovery. And again, we'll talk about that in the next episode. But I think that if you address your anger now and see what it is and why you're having it, you're going to be way better off because it's part of the healing process. It's part of going through whatever life in general. And the longer you stuff it down, the harder it's going to be. So we're releasing this during the holiday season. And a lot of people want to, put these feelings aside, but I'm going to tell you that they're probably amplified right now. And you may not understand why they're amplified, or you do know. Typically it's because you're holding everything together. You are, you're carrying the weight of everything.
Holy
There's
shit.
so much going on, like school parties, pictures, family gatherings, cooking, baking, getting gifts, just all the things that go along with it. And you may not have a partner who's going to be there to help you. I will say that if you are out of the relationship, it actually seems to be easier because then you know that like you've got this and you can do it on your own. But if you're still in the relationship and someone's just sitting on their ass doing nothing, there's going to be resentment that's being built up because they're not doing anything about it.
Workload is equal, but it just feels worse.
Yeah, but they're not doing anything. So you're supposed to be angry. Who wouldn't be angry in something like this? So your anger is not the problem. It's not the problem at all. Not taking action because of your anger is going to become the problem. And what your environment is, what you're dealing with in your environment is what the problem is.
Right. Last words on the kind of the old, like origins, like cultural anyway, of why anger is considered a bad thing. Now, so anger is not a bad thing. It's a word we've given an emotion. One of 1,000 different emotions a human can have. Anger is one of them. It is not good or bad. It is just an emotion. In fact, I would argue it's probably a good thing. Anger has probably saved your life more times than you can count. And your ancestors and their ancestors and their ancestors, dating back thousands and thousands of years, anger was a signal that kept them safe. It is a signal not just for physical safety, but also emotional and tribal safety as you're around people that may not agree with your values. It could be a danger to your belief system, whatever it might be. But at some point, we decided that anger was inconvenient for the rest of us. and that we decided that being nice should be the golden rule. That should be what we do. We just be nice all the time. And this, I've got a bunch of notes here. So, and women and men are taught things differently. Like men are often taught to man up, get over anger, which leads to aggression. Some of this is biological, males, testosterone, these things. A lot of it's also conditioning. Women have their own version of this where you're taught to suppress your anger. Doesn't mean you don't have it. You're just taught to believe that it doesn't exist or that it should go away. And I think this is where a lot of this shows up. A lot of our listeners are female, not all of them, but a lot of them are. And so when this kind of stuff pops up, they automatically think that I shouldn't be angry. I have to get rid of this anger. And part of that's conditioning that you've been taught most of your life. You shouldn't be angry. No one likes an angry woman, right? Think about like you can go back to drug ads back in the 50s and 60s. There were overloaded women working in the homes. And what did? They drugged them up. They gave them Valium. You know, like what was that one? I would think it was Valium. It was diazepam.
Yes,
it was like a housewife's best friend or something. It's like what the ad said. Like, let's not consider the fact she's overloaded and she's overfunctioning. Let's just give her drugs. Do things like that. Like you can look at some of the biblical roots of anger and where some of this stuff's come from. Like Proverbs, a gentle answer turns away wrath. In James, everyone should be slow to anger. Ephesians, in your anger, do not sin. These verses actually teach moderation, which is what most things do. There's so much good information on anger, but in our society that tends to look at things in a binary fashion, we have decided upon anger bad, being nice good. And that's as far as we ever took it.
Okay, but you can be angry and kind at the same time.
Yes.
And I think that's where people get it really confused.
That's what all of this stuff actually teaches, but that's not how we consume content anymore because no one reads anymore. We take stuff in short form content.
Oh, so bad for us,
quotes
by the way.
That sometimes are just not even real quotes.
Right.
We take things out of context, whatever it might be, like the Stoics. A lot of people misinterpret the Stoics as just like not feeling anger, like just be happy. That's not true at all. Like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius all wrote about how to process anger and how not to let anger drive rage.
Right.
They talked about like the middle ground between these things. There's also therapeutic misconceptions. Think about, you ever seen that movie Anger Management?
Yep.
One of my favorites. I love Adam Sandler. Yes, Cruz.
We say that in our house all the time.
It's anger management. It's why would you need to manage your anger? Why is it called anger management?
It should be aggression
management, rage management, whatever it might be.
Right, the
Instead
behavior.
Of something is hurting you and needs addressing management, which is what it really is at the end of the day. But we have given anger, we've kind of slapped it with this like stepchild name that gives people this illusion that this is a bad thing.
Right.
This is a terrible thing. I shouldn't be feeling this thing. I want you to try your best to reframe that.
Yeah.
That anger does not mean that you failed. Anger does not mean that you're being mean. Anger does not mean any of those things. Anger is simply a signal. It's just a signal that there's something going on we need to pay attention to, that we ought to dig a little deeper into. So when you're asking, how do I move past my anger? You're asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
Rant
good.
over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to shift just a little bit because there's something that I have seen a lot where people, they wait so much for their partner to take accountability, to be honest, to be responsible, to have empathy, to repair, to have stable behavior, to follow through, to own the harm. Okay. You're angry. And then you have this waiting period of just like, when are they going to get their shit together and take accountability? And that can keep you stuck for a really long time. And that's almost a way of like trying to control them into getting them to do what you need them to do. But the reality is when they're in active addiction or when they are dry drunk or whatnot, they're not capable of giving you that accountability. They're not capable of being honest with you. They're not capable of having that empathy that you're looking for. And I think that that's something that you have to accept. And it doesn't mean that you can't just like try to, what I'm trying to say here is that your anger is valid, but you can't use it to get them to take accountability.
Right. Yeah. It's born out of what you would do in their shoes and the frustration that they can't see the simplest effing thing in the entire world.
Yep. Yeah. Like you're waiting for this closure. You're waiting for them to do this. And that's going to build up that anger long term because you're still putting it on them to make sure that you're going to feel better about whatever it is that is going on with your relationship. But we have to accept the fact that they're not there and they may not ever be there. You're looking for that closure. And I'll tell you this now, that even if they do those things, that anger is still going to be there if you don't process it.
Yeah, you can't really outsource your healing onto somebody else like that and expect anything good to happen. You could get lucky. Unlikely, I would say, that you get lucky, that if you outsource every bit of, listen, if you just did X, Y, Z, my life would be perfect. I know a lot of people in addiction that think this way too. right? This is kind of the crux of a lot of our problems. If you just did things my way, everything would be okay. That's not true. You think that's the case, but it's generally not. There's a lot of things that have been violated underneath the surface that are going to affect you from years and years and years from now that you're not even realizing yet. And you're right. You cannot outsource your anger subsiding onto someone else doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. One, you're probably going to be rather disappointed when they don't do it.
Yep.
That's just common. Most people are going to disappoint you in that regard. Some won't, most do. And two, I think that you're delaying action. You can fix this now if you wanted to. It's going to be painful, but choose your pain. You want long-term suffering? You guarantee that by outsourcing it, or do you want more short-term acute suffering and more long-term happiness? That's kind of the toss-up you make.
Yeah. That's a hard one.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Thomas Sowell said, there's no such thing as decisions in life, only trade-offs.
Yeah. Yeah. And the anger is going to keep building because all the stuff that is making you angry, it's not usually just one thing. It's all the things that we discussed earlier about the unequal partnership, the dishonesty, the manipulation, all the things that go along, all the behaviors that go against your values. If it's going to continue to keep happening, your anger is going to intensify because the lies are going to continue to repeat. The chaos is going to continue to happen. The broken promises are still going to happen. The harmful behavior towards you, it's going to continue happening. So your anger is just going to get amplified over. It's going to get up and up and up and up until you decide to do something about it.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
That sucks.
It does. It does. But it's
like, let's just sit there for a moment. That sucks.
It does.
That's the part where everyone kind of goes, ugh.
Okay, but I want to shift your perspective on this, though. I know that it sucks, but that's when you realize that your anger is actually like clarity. It's not a bad thing. It's not a weakness. It's actually, it's clarity. It's something that's showing you that, ooh, okay, something needs to be done. And I do have the power to do something about this. I just have to, push forward to do something about it instead of waiting around for somebody else to fix it for me. Like, and that's scary and that's hard, but also I'm all about shifting perspectives into a more like empowering way instead of sitting in it and like, oh yeah, this sucks. Yeah, it does suck. And I'm going to validate that, but I'm also going to help you shift your perspective on it. Like, you know what? Maybe it doesn't suck. Maybe this is just me opening my eyes to something and having a wake up call on something that is going to help me actually live the life that I want to live, instead of just like, oh, well.
And that's the wisdom piece of it. We've talked about like the path. Peterson talked about the path from being naive to being cynical to being wise. Mm-hmm. And this is sort of like a wisdom concept.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you're going to be naive, and that's when this stuff will probably hurt the most. It will feel the most justified whenever you're cynical, but it will make the most sense when you've reached wisdom, when you know what to do with it.
Yeah. And that's a cool place to be, but you can't get there until you go through all the other places.
You got to go through the other pieces.
Which kind of sucks.
So some of you have heard this and you feel like you just had your world crushed because you're naive. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean simply in the definition of the word naive. You don't know.
Right. Naive is not a bad word.
Some of you are very cynical and you're going to be like, yeah, F them. I should be angry. And that's all you're going to hear. And there will be some number of you that move from that to wisdom where you understand, oh, it's trying to teach me something. It's not something to be used against people or myself. This is something that's trying to signal me to take action.
Yeah. It's telling you that you can't keep carrying all of this alone, that you're not safe in this situation, that sometimes anger is telling you that you are abandoning yourself because you're still so focused on what they're doing that you are not taking care of what you need to take care of within yourself, to make sure that you're living by your values. It's telling you that your values are being violated. It's telling you that your life does not match who you truly are. So you're not being authentic, when you're angry about certain things because you're like, oh, well, if it's still popping up, right? Because anger is always going to be there.
Man, it's so hard though.
It is. It's very hard.
Like you've listed off these things. Like these are examples you worked through before we did the episode, but in the moment, none of this shit is clear. Like in the moment, none of this stuff is clear. In the moment, you're not going to know that feeling that you have is attributed to my values are being violated. It takes some work in sitting down with it. And let's shift just briefly into like anger as a secondary emotion and how that gets misconstrued a lot, I think, by people. As we do know, anger is a secondary emotion. There's a really famous quote that goes around that's often misattributed to C.S. Lewis. It wasn't C.S. Lewis. It was actually a poem written by a guy named Michael Gungor. Mm-hmm. And it said, it's part of a poem. It said, I sat with my anger long enough until she told me that her real name was grief. Mm-hmm. Every time I see this reposted, it's got thousands of likes and comments. And people are like, oh, I wasn't angry. I was grieving. And that's true, but you were still angry. I think what this runs the risk of doing for people is sort of that discussion on the why versus the how of it all, as we can spend the next 3 or 4 years in therapy figuring out, what are we grieving? You're grieving the loss of a relationship that you thought you had, the loss of a dream, this requiem for a dream, if you will. This, I love
that movie.
It's depressing, but it's a beautiful title. But
Great songs.
But it's this feeling that you've lost something that you can never recapture. And it's like, you have to sit there and you mourn with this, and you will grieve. You will. And it will feel like anger as well. It is. Anger is not, when people, the danger people run when they do things like this, when they say, okay, you're not actually mad, you're grieving. True and false. You are still angry. The anger is driving at something. He wants you to explore that grief so that you can move past the grief, which will then
lead to
cure that anger, right?
Action.
Lead to action that cures the anger. Like you can explore grief and you'll go through that in your own way of accepting it, getting angry with it, the stages of grief. I think they've upped it now. It's 7 stages. It's not 5 stages anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Or maybe it's 4, now it's 7, something to that effect. We're not therapists. I should always open the episodes with that. But anyway, I think that Paige was really worried about talking about this because anger is a secondary emotion. The fear is real, that if you sit here and you walk people through that, you're not actually angry. You're just grieving. You're just sad. What they'll do is they'll spend the next year, 2 years sitting in that.
Sitting in that grief.
I'm grieving. I'm sad.
Because grief you can't really do much about. You have to accept it and you go through all the stages of grief. But anger is actually signaling action and telling you that there is something that can be done to get through that.
Yeah.
And that my fear is that if you just sit in that grief for too long, you're still ignoring the fact that you're angry because maybe you feel like, oh, I don't want to be angry because then that means that I have to do something about it. And that's scary. It's scary for all of us to listen to our anger and think, oh, well, this means something. My fear is that if we go down that rabbit hole is that it overcomplicates something that we can actually simplify a little bit, because anger is a true emotion. It's it's real. It's something that's really telling you something.
I think people will look at the feelings wheel, and especially when it comes to anger, we've talked about it, anger gets a really bad rap. And so when you look at the feelings wheel and you identify anger and you start to look at what's underneath anger and you look at something like grief or sadness, you think that your anger is protecting you from that sadness. That is false. That is oversimplified. I think people just say that because it sounds deep, but that's not even true. It's an incorrect way of looking what anger actually is.
I mean, it could be partially true, but I still feel like it's
not a blanket that you hide under. Like it's not some shield from grief. It is a mobilizing emotion that is pushing you toward change. That's what anger is. That's what it's doing there. That's its role in all of this, right? All emotions have a purpose of some kind. Grief is, it's complex. There's a lot of reasons that we grieve, There's a lot of reasons that we're angry. It is, I think of people will look at anger and they want to swap one for the other rather than look at them as an encompassing sort of multifaceted emotional state where you can be angry and you can be grieving and you can be sad and you can be harmed and you can do all these things at the same time. But we think anger needs to be removed for some reason. Mm-hmm. And if I remove the anger, then I can just grieve. It's like you can do more than one thing at a time. You can multitask these emotions.
Absolutely.
Anger is just, remember, it's the signal that is trying to immobilize you and drive you towards something. So like I think that quote, oftentimes people misinterpret it as saying your anger is fake. You're actually just sad. And that's not what it's saying at all. It's saying if you sit with anger long enough, sometimes that you'll discover that it's more than just anger. And there's grief and sadness and a lot of other things underneath it.
True.
But it's trying to drive you toward change. It's trying to drive you towards something. It's not replacing the anger.
Anger is literally trying to save you.
That's what I was saying earlier.
It's literally trying to save you.
Yeah. So I don't want people to think that anger is like less valid just because there's something else underneath it. It's not true. It's just a really uncomfortable place to be. And no one likes to admit that they're angry. I think that's another tough one. Like we think of it as such a bad thing that when you say I'm angry, it's like,
we're scared of the repercussions that come with that sometimes as well.
It's true.
We're scared of how someone might take that. And that's just going back to conditioning and all the other things you discussed earlier.
Yeah.
But again, it's the way that you release your anger that's going to be appropriate and how you're going to learn from that.
Yeah. I would hate for people to take the exit off the highway of let's go explore. Let's go get rid of my anger by exploring this other thing because I'm not angry. Yes, you are. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
Man.
It's okay to be angry.
I would be worried if you weren't.
Yeah, same. So I want to talk about what anger actually needs from us. Like, what does it need from you?
What is it asking?
What is it asking you? So it's helping it wants you to gain clarity about what is unacceptable within your life. Because a lot of the times we don't recognize what is unacceptable within our lives. Like we think we know, but we really don't know, especially when you're in it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going there, you're so confused going up and down. There's not much clarity to be gained while you're in it. But you need to be able to try to gain that clarity of what is unacceptable within your life, because that's going to try and help you realize like where your anger is coming from. Taking space between you and all of the chaos and the issues that are going on. That's kind of what the anger is asking you to do. Truth about what's really happening, support that centers you. You know, like our community is a really good place to go whenever you have anger. It's like, I'm angry because there are people there who understand you, and we're going to help you understand you. It's about you. It's not about your partner. It's not about all that. It's about what you're going through and the way that you feel. And we understand why you're angry and why it's there. So support is very important whenever you are angry. Emotional safety, it's looking for that. And we all know that in these relationships, you don't have emotional safety. It's not safe at all, actually. It's not safe for you. It's not safe for your kids. And that anger is trying to tell you that.
Yeah. I equate my anger to wanting. Like there's something in me that is desiring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what we've kind of been saying. Like
it's your needs being neglected.
Like if you're going to equate anger to pain, like the Buddhist perspective on this is that like all pain comes from wanting. It's the absence of not having something that you desire. And so like you can think of it in that sense. And it's like, I know when I feel angry, it's almost like there's something at the tip of my tongue and I can't quite get out. And it usually comes out in the worst sorts of ways. Like, you know, verbal lashings or bad words or rants or whatever it might be, but they all come back to this thing. It's like something has to change. I can't keep existing in this effing state.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Okay. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I want to talk about the difference between, or how you can move from destructive anger to constructive anger.
So what's the difference?
So destructive is going to be what we talk. This is aggressive, aggression. This
bashing
is
shit, punching
this
holes
is
in
yelling.
walls.
This is exploding. This is attacking. This is being petty. This is being bitter. This is, extra resentment. We'll talk about resentment another time. It's being passive aggressive. It's shutting down. It's that's not going to be helpful for you to do those things. That's just like how you want to react or how you want to respond. And yes, we have talked about reactive defense before. It used to be called reactive abuse. We have a whole episode on that. But I feel as though if you get to that point, then definitely something needs to change within your relationship, because you're not acting like who you want to act, how you want to be. You're not living by your values.
You wouldn't give a friend that advice. It's been triggered out of you for some really deep
reason. Right. So constructive anger is going to be like naming the truth, which a lot of us do live in denial for a long period of time. But when we're angry, we need to name it. We need to speak it. It needs to be out there. It's setting boundaries. We have a 3-episode series on setting boundaries. It's also within our program. It's taking space. It's, removing yourself from a situation for a little bit so that you can figure out what's going on. It's refusing to tolerate the dishonesty. It's supporting yourself. It's protecting your children. It's choosing alignment with your values. It's living authentically. It's living how you want to live. That's constructive anger. That's actually using that anger as fuel. It's doing things that are going to be productive.
So let's little exercise for a moment. Let's say that you are put back into a place where you were with me,
during that time.
Yeah. Like I know that you felt anger.
Yes.
More times than I can probably count. Times I didn't even recognize it and you were angry.
Right.
How did you deal with it in the moment? Because in the moment, it is so powerful. The only thing you feel like you can do to quell that feeling, that desire,
to lash out, right. Or yell, or to let you know, because I wanted to let you know that I was hurting and how I was feeling. But a lot of the times I feel like you've said this before, that I had more of like the disappointment reaction than I did like the super aggressive reaction.
It's like, son, I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. It was more of like,
Which is worse.
I was more sad. In my anger, I would throw things. I would, I stomped away. Like that was part of my part too. Like I would go away. I would avoid it, tried to avoid it. I would let you know how I felt, but I know that it wasn't going to do anything. So you get to a point where you're like, all right, this isn't working. So now I need to recognize how being reactive is not going to help the situation. So I need to figure out what needs to be done. So what I did, that's when I was starting to change in my mind, or start to like plan in my mind what life would look like
That's
without you.
what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
How many times do you think it took? But people are always confused on timelines with us, and it's kind of hard to go back and because we weren't recording it at the time. How many times do you think it took for us to have these episodes where it's I do something really stupid, you get angry, you lash out, and then you get quiet and process and you think? It's like each time you turn another page in that book and you stack another little card.
Right.
It's like,
okay, so you were in active addiction for 10-ish years. We were still young, but you were a closet addict. And there were some behaviors that were just immature behaviors. So, and I would lash out sometimes, but not all the time. Somebody recently asked me how long the chaos like really was. And I said it was only 18 months.
yeah, a year and a half.
Yes, about a year and a half of me really feeling angry and trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to live without you, and detaching and all those things. Remember, I got to a point where I was like, I didn't even get mad anymore. I was just like walking away.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
But that was a process, it sounds like, of you recognizing what the anger actually was and then slowly putting the pieces together of what would have to change. This was you grieving. This was you taking action at the same time.
Right. Because there was a time, and I've told you this before, where I thought that if you just have a conversation with somebody, you're going to get them to see your side and be able to change. And I learned over the years with other people in our lives that that's not a possibility, that sometimes quiet and not saying anything is better than saying anything at all, because you know that they're not going to hear you. They're not going to listen. They don't care about how you're feeling in the
fact
motion.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. They don't, because if they did, they would actually be doing something. And people hate it when I say that, or when we say that, when it's like they don't care because it's like, oh, well, addiction takes over. No, man, you know, it was easier for me to think like, you just don't care. And I'm just going to, that means that I need to do something about it. That means that I need to figure out what my life is going to look like, because you're not standing up to the plate. And you're not standing up to the challenge.
So what's interesting is I wanted to connect these dots here, because I just kind of did this. Okay. You're talking about this, like this process of like being constructive with anger rather than destructive anger. Do something constructive with it. And you just listed, 20 things that are constructive anger.
Yes.
We had an episode with someone, believe it was, what was the episode called with Jenny? I cannot remember. It was, oh my gosh.
I don't remember.
Many of you have probably heard it. We've only had like 3 or 4 guests on our show, but if you'll go back, there's one about someone who left a really abusive relationship with someone who was struggling with addiction, and she talks about her having to amplify the anger.
Yes, being stung over
and over with it, because she knew that without that, she was never going to take action. She literally used the anger for its intended purpose, but at times had to remind herself, oh, that's right. That's what this is. I keep fooling myself to think it's something it's not, that we're this couple that's working on things and things are getting better, when in fact that I have no evidence to show me that. And she would have to stab herself over and over with that anger, which you were kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was over time. And honestly,
so it's not like, I don't want people to think this like this event that you just make this decision and then you're good. Right. It's more like a process of events. It's that drive you toward change.
Absolutely.
Some people just lose it one day. Like, don't get me wrong. There's some people who are like, and then I was done.
And then you're done. Yeah, absolutely. And I would have gotten to that point, honestly, because I didn't have much tolerance, for that.
On the other side of this addiction,
yes,
I can tell you right now that it was anger and disappointment and shame and all the fucking emotions that we attribute to this like terrible category that actually got me to where I am today.
Yeah, but that's not my doing. I mean, you can say that.
No, it was internal.
I didn't make it easy for you, but I wasn't, this is so hard to explain, because I didn't make it easy for you, but I also wasn't, like I said, I wasn't petty. I didn't try to harm you. I wasn't trying to get back at you. I wasn't trying to do revenge. I wasn't trying to say, well, I need you to hurt.
Dude, that shit doesn't work anyway.
No, but I see that happening, and I understand why people do that. But for me personally, I wasn't like that. My anger was coming out my aggression was coming out because I felt like I was being harmed. So which I was, but we naturally even as kids do this. That's what you do. You become aggressive. You release it that way. And they haven't learned how to regulate their emotions. And that's literally what we're doing in this episode, is helping you understand that those emotions are there for a reason. But what you do with it and how you respond to it is what's more important than lashing out and just letting it take over.
Right.
I was young. I didn't know. Remember, I was 26, 27. And I was still pretty immature. So yeah, I'm going to lash out, or I'm going to, I'm going to yell, and I'm going to be aggressive or whatnot. So it's taken me a long time to really understand that anger there's a way to release it in healthy ways. And then there's a way to release it in unhealthy ways.
Yeah. You almost need to approach it like a friend, like throw your arm around it and say, all right, what are you trying to tell me? What are we trying to talk about here?
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's figure this out. What's next?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into just some tips to kind of help you through this stage of anger. Be fun. We're going to actually get you through.
Actionable advice.
Yes. So we want to step out of the reaction mode, and that's what we talk about with being aggressive, is that, you typically react to things, but we do have the power to not react to things, but we don't give ourselves enough credit, because we always excuse being overwhelmed or angry or someone harmed me, and that's why I lashed out at you. But in reality, we are responsible for our own behaviors and how we respond to things. So let's say that somebody comes home, they're messed up, you're pissed, they get home late, they may be a jackass or whatnot, and you really, really want to get angry. I would say to remove yourself from that for a while instead of lashing out at them.
Yeah, it's said that the more unpredictable your environment or the person in your life is, the more predictable you need to become with your own responses. And this is the way of controlling your environment in a healthy way. It's not controlling them, it's controlling your responses. And it's literally the only thing you can do in those moments. Mm-hmm. The more unpredictable they are, the more predictable you need to become for yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And this is just emotional maturity as well. We need to learn how to be mature with our emotions. And it's really hard when you're in this situation. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand why we react the way we react, but that's why we're here to help you understand how you can gain more clarity by not reacting in the way that you typically do. Because what I would do is I would react, and then I would completely lose my mind, because that gave him fuel to gaslight me, to manipulate, to lie. And I'm not saying that was me causing him to do that, but it would make me feel like, oh my gosh, I've completely lost my mind because I don't have any clarity anymore and I don't know what's going on. If I would have learned to just kind of detach from that or not react to it, I'm sure I would see a lot more clearly.
Sometimes you just have to, and it's not going to be pretty. Sometimes you need to remove yourself from that situation, in the moment. You need to remember, we talked about that little piece of space between the stimulus and your response to it. If you can slow that down by just a second, you can generally get a much better response from yourself. One that's not going to lead to more chaos. And so if you can create that, and sometimes that is literally I don't know what to fucking say right now, but I have to leave the room and just walk out of the room.
And I know that that's going to be really complicated, because they might become even more aggressive.
They could.
And if that's the case, that's another reason why your anger is there. And it's important to listen to and figure out what you want to do about the situation.
If someone's following you around the house and not giving you a space to respond, we have a much bigger problem. Yeah. Get the fuck away from that.
Right.
Please. Before it gets worse.
Okay. So this next tip I want you to do, I want you to write down what your anger is pointing at. So you can answer some questions that are what behavior crosses my values? If you don't know what your values are, which I know a lot of people in this space do not know what their values are. I mean, go back to the boundaries episodes. We discuss it there. And also you can Google it, but we also discuss it in Reclaiming You in our program. Your values are so important to your life.
Let's say one of your values is accountability. You believe in accountability. You believe it's important to growth, to trust in relationships. And so someone's not taking accountability, right? That can be something that they are violating. What have they done? Maybe it can be infidelity. It can be lying. It can be any number of things that cross your values, that betray your values. Write that thing down. Let's look at the behavior that's causing this, okay? Your anger is a result of those things being crossed. Generally, this is a signal. This person is not safe. It's what it's trying to tell you.
And we're talking about behaviors, not substances here.
Right.
Because you could easily say the alcohol is what's causing this is causing my
values.
I
guess you could say
if
you value sobriety.
Right. But again, we talk about behaviors here, which is most important because that is what's typically violating your values.
Yeah. And then ask yourself, what am I carrying that is not mine to carry?
Mm-hmm.
What am I carrying that is not mine to carry? Let's say that there's been lying, whatever it might be. There's been lying that's crossed your values. Okay. This is where we focus on what the anger is trying to teach us. Anger is rather simplistic in the sense that it is trying to tell you to get away from whatever is causing you harm. It's that simple. What's not yours to carry is where that's coming from. It's you going into the cave that is them and exploring what it is that's causing them to do this stuff and feel this way. Were they not loved enough as a child? Were they neglected? Have they not processed some trauma that they've incurred? That's not yours to carry. That's not yours to carry. Your anger is rather simply going, excuse me, you need to remove yourself from the situation. That's what it's trying to do.
Yep.
That's simply it. We've had a value that's been violated, whether or not you know it or not. Your body knows what you believe in, what you carry as a value, and it's being crossed. And some of these things are not yours to carry. As much as you would like to do it for them, I'm telling you, you cannot. You can't.
Yeah.
You can influence people all day long. Guys, we have to decide to carry that rock across the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
We, meaning guys like me.
Self-preservation, guys, is really what this is all about. It's protecting yourself and your children.
This is also going to give you clarity. This little exercise is going to give you.
It will.
It will take chaos, provide a little bit of structure, and give you some clarity.
You need to get the anger out in ways that are productive, that's constructive, that's going to help you. And if you need to write it all out in a journal too, like I'm angry at this is making me mad, blah, 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 blah. That's going to help you get it out. But also you need some clarity on what values that behavior is crossing and why it's making you angry. And you have to tell yourself, like, you've got the power to change that. And like Matt said, it's typically, removing yourself from that situation. Which is very challenging, but I mean, it's necessary if it's going to continue happening.
Right. And don't be worried that once you start this process of listening to your anger, what it's trying to teach you, that it's like irreversible, because that's not true either. I think that we had gone through periods of time. Remember, it's a process over time. We've gone through periods where like looked like we were headed for divorce, and then things would get better. And we allowed ourselves to get back into the relationship again, as safety dictated and behaviors changed and things like that. So it's not like some irreversible thing. I think a lot of people fear too, that once they acknowledge their anger, that they're going to do something they can't undo. And that's not true either. I don't want people to think that. It's just going to give you clarity, if anything at all.
Yeah.
It's going to make you better, more well-rounded, more understanding of your own emotions and internal state. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Remember, emotions are just data. That's all they are. They're just data. It's just giving you data on what's going on in your environment.
Those are your instincts telling you something.
Yeah.
All right, this next step is going to be set a boundary that you can actually keep. Start small with your boundaries. Like, I'm not going to argue with you when you're drinking. I'm not going to cover up for you with family or work. I'm going to take time away whenever I feel unsafe. And if you're thinking, well, if I do that, then they'll do X, Y, Z. I don't care what they do. If they start to throw a fit or they cause problems and throw a tantrum, that means that boundary should have been in place from the get-go, and they're not able to comprehend exactly why you're trying to keep yourself safe.
Boundaries are work. Don't forget it. They're not fix-alls.
No. And it's not about how they're going to react to it. It's about how, what you're going to do to protect yourself, no matter what they do or think or say.
Right.
And then you don't need, this next one is going to be stop waiting for the conversation that never happened. So this is about accountability. So you don't need their accountability in order to take care of yourself. You don't need their accountability in order to take this anger and listen to it and make some changes. You don't need their permission to protect yourself. That goes along with the boundaries too. Like you don't need their permission for any of that. This is about you. This is your life.
Yeah, I think that people fear making the first move a lot of the times, right? Because it's risky, it's scary. You feel like you may be giving up too early. And if you listen to this anger signal, then you're going to make a decision that you'll regret. And so people think that they need the clarity and the closure almost of someone saying like, listen, I'm never going to change. It's never going to be that simple. Usually they're going to feed you some line of bullshit like I used to, which was, oh, I'll get better. I'll be a good man. I eventually did those things, but most people say that stuff and they still don't do it. Rarely will you get the courtesy, dare I say, of someone being like, listen, I'm never going to change. This will be me for the rest of my life. You better get used to it because I'm not doing anything different. It won't be that simple. Anger is encouraging you to take action in spite of knowing the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
Right.
It's really scary.
It is, but it can be so empowering. Again, like shift your perspective on these things of like, yeah, it's scary, but you're capable of doing some
Here's what's
pretty
interesting
hard
about
things.
that proposition is that you know what this looks like and you've already admitted that this sucks and you don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So could it be worse? I mean, possibly, but Probably not.
Oh, it might get worse before it gets better. We do have that shirt, but that's not a bad thing.
Almost everything in life will tend to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better.
Yep. Okay. So before you start like actually trying to take steps on like what you need to do with your relationship, you probably do need to regulate your nervous system for a second. We've talked about regulating your nervous system with journaling. Like that term. I know you don't. Deep breathing. I'm not a big fan of it either, but I think that I understand it. I've had like really dysregulated shit. But the thing is that you don't stop there. Like you do all these coping mechanisms that we tell you to do, which we've talked about, you know, the journaling, working out, the breathing, going to another room, calling a support person, doing grounding work, staying present, all those things. Great ways to get you started, but you can't stop there. That's not going to fix it. That's not going to
coping.
It's coping, yes. But you might need to do that first before you start actually making decisions to see like what it is your anger is trying to tell you and what you need to do about it. Again, it's a process. Regulate yourself first and then get to that point. Mm-hmm. Just don't stop there. That's not going to fix it. That's not going to fix all of it at all. I actually did an episode on that a while back. And then this one is start shifting your focus to you instead of them, and use our VEER philosophy here. So validate your emotion. So if you're angry, tell yourself it's all right. It's here. There's a reason for it. Don't try to stuff it down. Listen to it.
I'm rightfully angry.
Yeah. And then educate yourself on what it means. Like, okay, ask those questions. What values are being broken? Why am I feeling angry?
What am I carrying that I'm not responsible for?
Right. All of that. And then empower yourself by taking action, which is whatever you feel like you need to do to make sure your life aligns with your values, and then recover by realigning with your identity and your values.
The longest journey in recovery is this 14 to 16 inch distance between your brain and your heart.
Oof.
It is the longest journey in the entire world. It's connecting the two. It's the distance between the two at times. And that's what VEER does ultimately. It brings your mind and your heart into balance so that you can make decisions that align with what's best for you, not just what you're thinking or what you're feeling about the situation in the current moment.
Yeah. Yep. All right. You want to close this out?
Yeah. I hope that through this, you feel a little bit different about anger and you don't think it's the boogeyman anymore.
Yeah.
And that you're thinking of it in a different light, that you're seeing this as something like, oh, okay. So it's not necessarily bad.
It's a wake up call.
It's not great either. It's just another signal. It's another signal of mine, right? It's your body's fire alarm letting you know that there's an issue here. We need to pay attention to it. And that it's not something we should aim to get rid of without any work. I think that we would love to just wake up and not feel angry. But in order for that to happen, everything in your life would have to be operating pretty well. If you're angry, it means something's not. And so it's not as simple as you think. You're trying to get rid of a symptom, not the problem. You can treat symptoms all day long. It's like 70% of Americans on some kind of drug for a symptom of a bigger problem now.
Oh, I looked this up recently and I don't remember the stats.
I think it's something wild like that.
I was like, whoa, this is a lot.
We can treat symptoms all day long is what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, we've got to fix problems. If we're not going to fix problems, we're going to continue to think about the impossible solution of how do I fix the symptom without ever fixing the problem, which involves endless rumination and inaction and anger and resentment and health problems and all these things that follow, right? And that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to enable you to sit in your shit for the rest of your life. I hope that we piss you off sometimes. I hope that we challenge you sometimes. I hope that times you get irritated with us and you don't want to hear what we have to say. That means we're doing our job. Yep. This is the way that we learn this stuff, guys. I don't know another way to teach it. This is how we learned. If it were that simple, then more people would do it, but it's not. It's not simple, but it is easy, right? Don't overcomplicate it. As one of our guys that we follow says.
It's not easier, but yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
don't overcomplicate things. Basically,
don't overcomplicate it.
We really don't have to.
I hope that anger is not the boogeyman. I hope that anger.
It's not the enemy, guys.
I hope that you recognize that it's a friend of yours trying to wake you up, and that's all it's trying to do. And the more you sit there and try to get rid of it, the more it will pop up in more subversive ways, in insidious ways. It will show up. It will never go away. Okay. And we are not here to successfully teach you how to gaslight yourself.
Nope.
That's not what we will ever be here to do. We will challenge you. And I hope that at the end of the day that you get something from this. Truly, we've both learned a lot about exploring what anger is really trying to do. I don't want people to also feel like they can't sit in it for a bit, because you will. I think that's part of the process of this. I think sometimes me and you oversimplify this stuff as we think about
because of how far we are on the other side.
Right. Like we oversimplify this, and we weren't recording while we were in the mud of this stuff for a year or 2 years or 3 years while we were figuring this shit out. Our goal here is to simplify it in a way that shortens that from 3 years down to 1. or something.
Or just giving you
more
the tools to
manageable.
help you through it and learn something from it. And I mean, if we were here talking about it, if we were still in it, I don't feel like we would have much to share on it because we don't have that wisdom. It's more
Been
of
on
the
the other
cynicism.
side of it.
Yeah, we've been on the other side. So
But it is muddy.
look at that as hope.
It is muddy. I don't want anyone to feel like they should feel like they're doing something wrong because you're feeling it and not taking action yet. Like I said, the longest journey in recovery is that distance between your brain and your heart. And you'll get there.
Yep.
You will. Keep working at it. Keep listening. Yeah, that's all we've got.
Yeah.
Stick around for the next, which one is coming out. Oh, hey, also thank you to everyone who's been okay with this new cadence that we've got, because this next episode won't come out for another week.
No, possibly not.
We're going to release these back to back to back.
I'm trying to get 3 episodes out in December.
All right, let's go. Cool. Maybe a little bit back to more
Hopefully.
regular. We've got some time. If we have time,
Yeah.
we're going to release this stuff because we enjoy these conversations and we hope that you do too. All right, that's all we've got. Paige has to pee. It's time to go. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.